Effective use of terrain can give a massive advantage to the one holding it, and one of the most advantageous positions is high ground. Just ask a certain Jedi Master. In this edition of Tabletop Map Design, I'll be walking you through an easy-to-use map that has clearly delineated high and low ground, as well as breaking down the mechanics at play, like cover, concealment, and other advantages. But before we start, if you're in need of a Pathfinder 1e adventure, have a look at Sorcerous, the Dietrich House. Designed for a party of 4 level 3 characters, this adventure has sinister mysteries, unsolved crimes, and a haunted house with lurking terrors to challenge your players. As well as unexpected treasures courtesy of the dynamic and thematic loot system, which makes for compelling rewards for those willing to brave the depths of the Dietrich House, available right now on DriveThruRPG. Now then, let's look at the high ground. This map consists of 2 distinct zones. The low ground, it's below the high ground. And the high ground, it's above the low ground. The high ground is surrounding the low ground on 3 sides. Thematically, this could be a lot of different things. The banquet hall of a castle, a courtyard, or a box canyon. It's really up to you and your needs for your encounter. Now that you've grasped the very basics of this map, let's look at the mechanics at play, starting with height advantage. Most systems embrace the concept of an advantage gained because of elevation. Attackers firing down on an enemy in 5th edition could benefit from advantage. In Pathfinder 1e, this could be a circumstantial bonus. Rules as written, there is a high ground advantage of +1, but only for melee attacks made from above an enemy. However, there is a good argument for extending it to ranged attacks. Another factor in a high ground battle is cover. Depending on how great you want the distance to be between the high and low ground, some element of cover will come into play. In 5th edition, this would be in the form of disadvantage, or a +2 bonus to AC for those behind cover. That is half cover. It's bumped up to a +5 for 3/4 cover. That would be a pretty extreme height difference between the high and low ground, though. Likewise, Pathfinder 1e grants a +4 AC bonus to cover. The next factor that can come into play in this fight is concealment. For the ones occupying the high ground, breaking line of sight is fairly easy. This can manifest in a couple of different ways. The battle could begin with a surprise round as the attackers on the high ground leap from cover to attack. The attackers will also be harder to hit, especially if they have additional barriers like banisters or rocks to hide behind. In Pathfinder 1e, this can be implemented with a mischance of 25 to 50%, depending on how great you believe their concealment to be. The last mechanic that's going to come into play in this fight is falling. Whether from attackers being knocked from their elevated position, or by them jumping down to join in the melee combat, it's very possible that someone will be taking fall damage on this map. There are a variety of ways to negate or reduce fall damage in both Pathfinder and D&D. Fall damage is 1d6 per 10 feet of fall. As an example, a 20-foot drop from the high ground would do 2d6 of damage. In Pathfinder 1e, you could make an acrobatics check to reduce the first d6 to non-lethal, and then attempt to render the second d6 as non-lethal by landing on a squishy target below you. Whether or not you choose to allow that as a DM is up to you, and, of course, how your player rolls. Now that you have a grasp on the mechanics that will act on a battle that takes place on this map, let's talk about 2 different ways the map can be used. The first is a difficult defensive fight. Placing your party in the kill box can make for a very tense battle. The advantage of terrain can make even lower level enemies, like goblins, bugbears, and gnolls, into a significant challenge, as your players struggle to pick them off from their well-entrenched position. Additionally, you might consider throwing a more powerful monster, something like an ogre or a minotaur, into the box with your players. This will require the party to differentiate targets, with some of them handling the enemies in the box with them, and others trying to stop the pot shots coming from above. On the other hand, you could use this map to give your players an easy offensive fight. Giving the high ground to your players means they'll have the advantages of cover, surprise, and the opportunity for some great rule of cool moments, such as leaping dramatically from on high to assassinate enemies, throwing rocks and explosives at them, or waiting for exactly the right opportunity to spring their ambush. Giving players an advantage like this can help get them into the swing of a campaign. It can be a reward for having survived other difficult fights previously, or it could serve to establish them as the heroes of your campaign. Thank you very much for watching Tabletop Map Design High Ground from D6Damage. If you're interested in rulebooks, miniatures, and gifts related to D&D and Pathfinder, check out Noble Knight Games. You'll find a link in the description. Also, if you're interested in a haunted house adventure, check out Sorcerous, the Dietrich House, available right now on DriveThruRPG. Finally, if you'd like to take your game further, join the D6Damage Discord. We have great discussions about all aspects of the game. Character builds, strategy guides, DMing tips, and much, much more.